In this episode, I'm going to share with you why now it's more important than ever before to master the game of networking. And also, I'm going to share with you how I've been able to connect myself with some of the big names in the industry and what really works well when it comes to networking your way to success. So stay tuned. I'm Adam Cadu, and it's time to master the art of real heart alignment, where you live, work, and play from your personal power as energy aligns, your gifts flow, and life simply works. These life-changing conversations are designed to help you to see what you're not seeing, hear what you're not hearing, and to be who you're not being, as the world needs more heart-centered leaders now more than ever. Are you ready to say no to living a half-hearted life and say yes instead to boldly living from a place of real heart alignment? Welcome to the Adam Cadu podcast. Yo. Welcome back to the Adam Cadu podcast. In this episode today, I'm going to share with you some of the things that I've actually discovered in hindsight about my ability to network and also how to approach people to, create partnerships, strategic alliances, to make better friends, all of the things in between that you can actually start implementing in your business today. Because one of the things that I'm seeing, and I've just got such a keen eye on this right now, is that the people who you see in your life and business who are up to big things, chances are, for most of them, they had a major boost at one point or another in their business when somebody endorsed them. And I was actually having a little fun. I was doing some research on Chat GPT, and if you guys aren't using that yet, you definitely should, just to even ask questions. It's super helpful when you're doing research. So I'm not trying to sell no Chat GPT course or nothing like that. Too much of that going on right now. But I will say, I asked the question of just like, tell me some examples of some big names in the industry of people who have been endorsed by somebody else that really gave them a boost of momentum, that really allowed them to get off the struggle blocks in order to see more rapid success. And it came up with a crazy list of people. I mean, Oprah was one of them. Justin Bieber, obviously he got endorsed by this music executive, Scooter Braun. Tim Ferriss, which is a well-known author in the entrepreneur space, his book, The 4-Hour Workweek, got a huge boost when renowned marketer Seth Godin endorsed him, writing a blog post about this book. And literally, it's like that blog post off of Seth Godin allowed Tim Ferriss to become a best-selling author. I mean, it went viral, and it really helped him to get that boost. Oprah helped Barack Obama, it said. I liked this one. Ryan Reynolds actually was struggling for a significant amount of time. And Denzel Washington saw something in Ryan Reynolds, and Denzel endorsed Ryan to be on a particular role in a movie that Denzel was being a part of. And that allowed Ryan to get off the start. Who do they say? Jeff Bezos. J.K. Rowling was even endorsed by, different people to really get her boost. Ellen DeGeneres, that's a good one, was endorsed by Johnny Carson when she was struggling in the industry. And also she was invited back to sit on Johnny Carson's couch, which was a sign of approval in the industry, if you will. Taylor Swift, even, she was endorsed at one point by Tim McGraw. Tim invited her to collaborate with her and endorsed her to his audience, things of that nature that really allowed her to get a major boost and major momentum. Mark Zuckerberg, Lady Gaga was actually endorsed by Akon. Elon Musk, had people that really helped to boost him up early on. Serena Williams. And also this big one that I liked, actually, there's two more. Kevin Hart was actually endorsed by Dave Chappelle back in 2004 to really get him some eyeballs on his work, and allowed Kevin Hart to become the household name that he is today because of getting a faster start, if you will. And also Dwayne The Rock Johnson is another one. And Beyonce. Beyonce was actually endorsed by Whitney Houston. So you see this, and this is celebrity talk, right? But if you take a look at the industry leaders that you're following and learning from today, chances are at one point or another, there was somebody on their path that they networked with, they connected with, that endorsed them to their audience, that allowed them to get a much faster start or more momentum to grow their business and to do the things that they're here to do. And also take a look at the names that you follow. and see that they have a network, even if it's not real clear. They have a network of people that's, hey, you be on my podcast, I'll be on your podcast, you be on this person's podcast. There's a group of people that constantly work well together, endorsing each other, endorsing each other, endorsing each other, even if it's not aware by the, the average eye to be able to see things like that. I see how much people are networking, endorsing each other, allowing to get a bigger boost because they know the ancient law of reciprocity. They know that endorsing that person somehow, some way, even if it's not directly back from that person, they're going to see goodwill. They're going to see good energy coming back their way. And so if you haven't really kind of opened yourself up to this and started to see, hey, look, who are the people in my environment? Who are the people that I can start building relationships with that in one aspect or another, we can help and support each other? Because I know early on, for the longest time, I was that proclaimed solopreneur, right? I was doing everything myself. I wasn't asking for help from anybody. I wasn't partnering with anybody. I wasn't really learning from anybody. I wasn't really being mentored by anybody. And that all changed, when I met James Wedmore back in 2016. And I knew right away, it's just like, it was instinctual in me. I knew, I was like, I want to get close to this guy. I want to know what he knows. And in looking back in hindsight, I can start to see some of the things that allowed me to build relationships with people like, James and Brandon, Jim Fortin. And I've got another mentor in mind right now that I'm like, I want to get close to this guy. I want to work with this guy. I want to, be on his preferred list of contacts, if you will, which there's, for every person like myself, there's dozens and dozens and dozens of people that would like the same thing. However, in looking back and seeing really what worked well for networking with, some of the mentors that I have now, I can start to see it's like, wow, there's some certain things that you can do in order to boost your possibility to establish these connections and to work closer with people and to learn what they learn and to provide value in their life and to grow together, and throw some goodwill back to them whenever you have the opportunity. So with that being said, I can go back in my mind, and yet again, this is just so unintentional. It wasn't any strategy. It wasn't any forethought about it, but I can go back in my mind. And this is one of the things I like to do is just put the pieces of the puzzle together. And I can see my very first few interactions with James. And yet again, this is like when I'm, I'm a greenhorn. I'm new to the industry. I really have no results or anything to speak of. It's not like I could really talk to James on that level, and I wasn't even close to that. But I knew enough to know enough that people like people who are like them. So I did. I'm very observant. I found what are the characteristics, the traits, the ways of being that James embodies. And it was actually very surreal the first time I met James. So this was in Business by Design Live, the very first Business by Design Live back in January of 2017. Shade again, that's what, 6 years ago. It's freaking crazy. Craziness. 6 years ago. So it was the night before the event. Some of the, peeps at the event decided to go out. I believe that this bar was called the Sky Bar in Laguna Beach. We're up on the roof and hanging out. And we've been there, for hours and hours and, drinking a little bit, eat some dinner, just chatting it up, just connecting, building relationships with people. And all of a sudden in walked James. And I really did. I had this kind of like starstruck moment. I was like, that's James Wedmore, like this online industry icon, if you will. Like, cause I've been, following James for a few years, not too early. He talks about some of the early programs and I'm like, I wasn't even on my radar, but I saw some things he was doing when he did an endorsement for Amy Porterfield as an affiliate for her. The way he was breaking down information and really getting into the marketing psychology side of things, I was like, that's my jam. That's what I understand about marketing. That's what I understand about people, is how people think and function and work. And James is on that same level. So I knew there was some common ground there. And so it was funny because I was hanging out with somebody that was at the event. I think we were at the same hotel together or something. And she was like probably the shyest person at the event. and the shyest person that night. Like she was just kind of keeping to her own. And all of a sudden I look over, a friend of mine, or, somebody I had just met, looked over and she's over there talking to James. We're like, whoa, here's our opportunity. Let's go over and chat as well. And, just started connecting with James a little bit. And the first thing that I'll mention is sometimes in order to get on somebody's radar, just like in sales, it takes touch points. It's a numbers game, right? So I wasn't going to go on the scene and try to make a big impression or anything like that, or, try to blow James away or try to, just catch his eye at that point. But I did. I wanted to just talk to him and open up some dialogue and get to know him a little bit. And so it was interesting. It was neat. I actually don't remember much about that conversation. But I do know that we chatted for probably 10 minutes or so, and, just had a good time chatting. He just appeared as a genuine human. Right. And so the next morning, we went to Business by Design Live. And he did this exercise where he invited people. He said, hey, look, if you've got some certain skills, some certain things that you could provide value for, the group here during this live event, let's write it on the board and we'll find some panel experts to share their knowledge about certain topics and industries. And for me, that was a comfort zone challenge. I was like, I'm an expert in nothing. I don't have a lot of value to give, but I wrote my, name on the board. And that night, I just had this burning idea in mind. I just had this burning idea. I just thought, I was like, send James a note, right? Just send him a note, show him that you got interest, tell him about, something that you can really help the community with, just stand out a little bit. Because what I found, and you'll see this in most experts, most people that you look up to, yes, there's people that would love to work with them. Yes, there's people that would die to have communication and to talk with these peeps. But 99% of people, they will not be courageous enough to send a message or to reach out. And so I decided, hey, look, this is a great way to stand out, to reach out. And so I sent him a Facebook message that night. Didn't hear back or anything. The end of day 2, actually, let me backtrack. The opening of day 2, I got there early, and I do that at events too. I want to get there early and, and just to be able to see if there's, ways just to communicate with some of the people on James's team or, just connect with James or whatever. So I got there earlier both days. And the second day I got there probably, 45 minutes earlier. So just to hang out, and James is in there setting up, and he's doing like some beatboxing. Right. So I was just cracking up. And I, started kind of beatboxing back with him, and we just kind of had that moment. And, it's just common ground. It's just like, I kind of stood out, I'm sure, at that moment, because I was beatboxing, I was having fun. So I'm like, okay, James. And yet again, this is not like strategy. How do I get on James's radar? But it's just like, I just had this, this calling, this urge to. And so, common ground there. But I really started wondering and kind of thinking, it's just like, what is James like? He likes to have fun. Cool. Like, I'm going to let that side of my personality shine through as well, so he can see that in me. Also, he loves growth. So and yet again, it's just like, this wasn't intentional, but after the event, day number 2, I went up to him. A lot of people just left or whatever. A lot of people just got a quick picture and bye. I waited around a little bit. And I went up to him, and the first thing he said to me was like, hey man, sorry, we ran out of time. We couldn't get your thing or whatever. And I was blown away. I was like, wow, man. I was like, no, you don't need to say sorry to me at all. Like, this was a crazy, phenomenal event. It was my first live event. And it was just like, it opened so many doors in my mind to start to see what's possible. And anyway, so I started asking him questions and really, focusing on like growth and just showing him that I'm interested in growing. And I even talked about his mastermind at one point. And just was asking more questions about that. Like, what does it take to get into that mastermind, just to show him I'm hungry, just to show him I'm growth oriented. And that was just the start, right? That was just the start. And then during Business by Design, he was doing some coaching calls, things of that nature. Like, I'm on the calls, I'm showing up. He's seeing me. So it's a repetition game. And, and then I had the opportunity to also, at James's event, both connect with Brandon Lucero and Jim Fortin. And yet again, a lot of people, they had probably, had the intention to go speak to, somebody at the event, and they don't. But for me, I go speak to these guys. And one of the first things that I do when I speak to them is I want to compliment them on their work. I want to give them my feedback and let them know it's just like, I admire what you're doing. And compliments are never a bad thing, right? And to me, it's like, there was never this point in time where it's just like it was a tactic or whatever, but it was just like it worked so well. And even in sales, like I'm constantly rooting people on because I want people to feel good. I want people to feel strong. And the same way was the case with, just my communication with those guys back then. And so I also knew that there was some program that they had taken back in the day, that they all had taken. I believe I'm not quite sure Brandon took it, but that really is a different type of program. Not everybody takes it. And I told them, I was like, hey, look, I'm doing this program. Do you have any feedback for me? Right then and there, they saw that, hey, look, he's doing some things that most people aren't doing, which allowed me to stand out. It associated me with a different group of people that they know as well. And so it easily allowed me to start to be part of the, I don't even want to say this word or whatever, because it's not like this, but just more likable, more like on the inside. It's just like I understand the game. I understand, the approach. I understand the steps to take, and I'm taking them. That allows me to be seen different. And thinking back again, it's been that way my entire life. Like there's been times before where, just starting, school and everything, I always was just cool with it. I was comfortable with it because I knew I would be able to find people with common interests, talk about those interests. And for me, it was like sports was always a big one. I wouldn't say I was big into school, but there were certain things that I like to do. But it's just like, what's the common interest? How can you root these people on? How can you make them feel good to allow them to see that you see their work? You acknowledge their work. You're excited about their work. You're learning a lot from them, right? And it's not just a passive compliment. It's really intentional to allow them to see. It's like, I understand this. Like I see what you're doing, and this is amazing. Like, and this is something that I'm looking forward to implementing as well. And there was a point in time, years and years and years ago, where my dad was thinking about, the company he was working with was actually moving, like 4 states over or so, and we had the conversation around moving. My sister did not want to move. She was just dreading it. It was just like, no way, no how. I won't be able to make new friends. I got my friends here. And for me, I'm like, bring it on. Bring it on. Because I know enough about people. And I mean, this is back in high school, right? And I know enough about people to find my way. It wasn't scary to me whatsoever because I'm not trying to be somebody I'm not. I'm not trying to fit in. I'm not trying to, put on a show or whatever, but I understand people. And I think in understanding people and being able to talk other people's languages, being able to find that common ground, that synergy, you're going to open the door for them to accept you. And now, why is this important? For one thing, yet again, if you look in the industry, there's been endorsements made by people that allowed people to have more skyrocket, more fast-paced momentum in their businesses. Whether it be, the examples I was sharing earlier in the celebrity world, but it's everywhere. It's literally everywhere. And so if you're not really playing this game of like, how can I help people in a way that allows them to, possibly want to help me later, not just to help in order to be helped, but to know that, hey, look, if I help enough people, I'm going to have goodwill coming back to me, and I'm going to be able to be helped, which allows me to help more people, which allows me to be helped, and so on and so on. And there is no tit for tat. It's all a collaboration of growth, of expansion, of networking, of allowing us to do the things in a way that allows us to be the best version of ourselves. And we need great people around to have that endorsement. And so as you probably see in the world we're living in right now, it's just things are changing so rapidly. And you've probably heard me talk about cavemen and cavewomen, a time or two on this podcast, especially in the early episodes. Because it's like, I want to go back in time and really start to think about how things were back then, because we still have, DNA characteristics, ways of being, hardwired in us from back then. It's just like the whole fight or flight thing. It's just like, we still have a big part of that that's not really so much needed in this life. But for a lot of people, it's a hair trigger. One thing, because they've been through a lot in this time, but it was there even before, right? So it's like it was carried along the lineage. Like we're still afraid that tigers are going to jump out of the trees and things like that. It's survival is important. So cavemen and cavewomen, their 2 greatest fears when it comes to life, right? And this goes back to back in the day. And it shows up big time in sales as well. That is the fear of inadequacy, that I'm not enough, and also the fear of rejection. Yet again, those are triggered in sales conversations. Those are triggered in the type of businesses we're running, of putting ourselves out there and facing rejection on a daily basis, right? Because you could do a video and have people be like, oh, that's wrong, and you can't think that way, and all that stuff, or we can play vanilla and, try to be liked by everybody, which when you're liked by everybody, you're actually loved by nobody. So, cavemen, cavewomen, a death sentence to a person in a community back in the day was to be rejected, was to be shunned. You're on your own, you got to go. Because they knew the importance back then of a community. Because when push comes to shove, if they're in a vulnerable place, their community will rally around them, because chances are they've rallied around that community before. But the other fear, the inadequacy, is, in my interpretation, designed from this place of, hey, look, if I can't pull my weight, if the community thinks that I'm no good, yet again, that's a death sentence. It all goes back to death. And so if indeed I am not accepted by community, which we don't want to look at it like that way, but in this world where it's starting to, if you will, be a little cutthroat, and there's so much talk about this, that, the other thing. There's fear about AI and robots and and aliens and the economy. I mean, there's just so much, right? And I do my best not to tout that stuff, even though I catch wind of it as well. And more than anything, I see people who are using it to their advantage, because they want to shock and have people coming back and feeding them. They want to keep people's awareness, just like the media does. I mean, people are actually using fear and talking about fear as a tactic. And I don't love that. But it would be foolish to say, to turn a blind eye, because there's some wacky, weird stuff going on in this world. So push comes to shove. Where's your network at? Where are the people that are going to be like, okay, we got this. Let's help you. Let's make sure you're in good standings. Let's help you to get in a solid position, because they see a lot of value in you. And I think that that's a big thing about networking as well. And especially with, my mentors early on, is just like, they saw value in me. They saw that I was open. I was hungry. I was thirsty. I was ready to grow. I was ready to do what it takes in order to stand out and to play a higher level game. And they could see, it's like, man, this guy's doing different things. He's doing the work. And it's like, I'm not going to sit here and say they thought in that moment they could, have value from me, but this is like, well, he could be a valuable asset. He could be an ally. So you want to be seen on that level. Is it's like, hey, look, I'm not just walking in your shoes blindly. Like, I've got my own path. I'm doing my own thing. But also at the same point, like, I'm here to help. I'm here to support. I'm here to provide you with value. Even if it's certain feedback, even if it's helping them to see certain things that they're not seeing. It's huge. And so where's your network when push comes to shove? And where's your network when it comes to growing your business faster in order to help the people that you're here to help? Because they're not getting any younger. And also their pains and struggles and problems aren't getting any smaller, because they need you, and you specifically, to come shine the light. And so I'm just on this path, is like, work smarter, not harder. It's almost like out of inadequacy, if you will. We feel like we have to slug it away. We have to do everything. Everything has to be hard. We have to do every step ourselves. When in all reality, we can work smarter and start to network, start to build a community where people are like, hey, look, come on the podcast, or there's synergy in your offer, whatever you're doing. So that way they can endorse you and give you a boost. So that way, in one way or another, and I guarantee these celebrities, there was one way or another that goodwill came back to them. So with that being said, that's huge. It's huge, especially in this day and age, especially with so much information, especially with so many people touting so many messages. So if you're not taking the approach to start to see, it's just like, who do I want to work with? Who do I want to connect with? Who would I love to spend more time with? Who could I see as being a value to me and I be a value to them? And if you're not thinking on this level, I would say you're missing an opportunity. And so I'd love for you to just write a list out. Just like, who are the people I want to work with? And like I said, I've got somebody in mind right now that I've been taking some trainings from the last couple of years, and I enrolled in something of his recently, and I'm just like, you know, I I know enough yet again to know that there's not going to be one conversation where they're just like, "Oh, you're awesome. Let's go. Like, let's do some stuff together." Right? It's going to take time to build that relationship, especially with somebody who's doing big things. But I'm chipping away. And he even sent out a post on his Instagram at one point. He was like, "Hey, I'm looking for this. I'm looking for somebody to help out with this." And I sent him a message. I was like, "Hey, I'd love to." Even though at the time I was like, it's not tremendous synergy. I had a feeling that there wasn't a lot of people that raised their hand for what he was sharing. So I can almost guarantee that the next time I come around, he's probably going to recognize my face, and he's seen me in some of his programs, things of that nature. And it's going to, I'm building up this repetition, this being seen, this he's in the game, he's doing the work. And that's going to boost my credibility when it comes to having a conversation about like, "Hey, look, what do you need help with? What can I help you with?" Right? What are we working on? What are we doing? What's the plan? I want to get to know the ins and outs of your business so I can start to help. And people always need good people, and people like people that are like them. And so let's take this conversation a little bit more serious. And this is yet again, indeed, something that has been on my mind for a significant amount of time, is to really solidify some of the relationships I built through the years. And I'm telling you, it's wild. And it just dawned on me as one of my strengths is networking. I would love to be able to just sit back and open doors for people. Like, I would love to do that. And that's something that I'm going to be doing more of. And in being able to open more doors for people, I know that doors will open for me as well. But I mean, it really is. It's like, it's exciting to me. It's like a chess game. It's like, because in sales early on, I would have to talk to the gatekeeper, right? There's some secretary type of person that's, screening calls for the CEO or whatever. And I would have to get a relationship with them. I would have to build some rapport, ask them questions, understand what they're about, become friends with them. And then at that point, I'm more likely to get that appointment, get that call with that CEO. And the same goes for networking as well. Sometimes you just befriend other people, and yet again, not as a ploy, but just because it's a nice thing to do. Find that common ground with others as well and get yourself in the door. So with that being said, I'm excited to talk more about my mastermind. It has been an idea in my mind for, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 years, a very long time. And one of the things, yet again, that I'm excited about is doing things differently. Because most masterminds, as you know, is a group coaching program disguised as a mastermind. It's the leader or having, more experts come in and just giving more information. But I want to, more than anything, and this is the intention, this is what I am doing, create a group of people who are up to big things, the best people that I know, that have huge hearts, that are courageous, that are kind, that are caring, and endorse each other, share the love, share the wealth, in order to build more connections, in order to help more people and endorse each other some more. And it takes a small group of people in order to really do something like that. I think of this YouTube sensation, if you will, Mr. Beast. He was talking about the way he was able to speed up his growth when it comes to cracking the code on YouTube and, millions and bazillions of views and subscribers, is there was 4 other people that he was living with that were living, breathing, eating, if that's possible, YouTube. And he said he alone, only being able to make so many mistakes and do so many things through a day, he was basically on 1x speed. And with 4 other people that were doing the same thing, making their own mistakes, and at the end of the day, they would collaborate and talk about what's working, what didn't work for them, and what they're seeing as an opportunity. All of a sudden, he 5x'd his speed. He was able to grow much more faster, much more efficiently, because this group of people was sharing what's working. Because there's just this overload of courses with these processes and these strategies that are basically like, here's the process that worked 10 years ago. Go follow it and have fun and good luck to you. And some of them processes work well for people. Some of them processes for most people, I would say 90-95% of people, they just can't follow. They fall off track and they get in their own way, and they've got certain lessons that they've got to make, certain mistakes they got to make in order to finally see that success, see that momentum. And if you have a group of people that's already like, no, don't do that, do this. This is what's working for me. This is how I see this working for you. Networking at its finest. Oh, I know this person that could definitely use you to possibly have an endorsement or an affiliate thing, or I can get you on this person's podcast. All of a sudden, we're extending our reach, extending our reach, extending our reach. And if this isn't something, I have an application process that I'm doing for the mastermind. I'm sending actually notes and mail out to certain people that I'm inviting. So just know if indeed you are accepted into this mastermind, which there's not crazy criteria. I just want to know you're up to big things. I want to know that you're in to play this game. I want to know you're committed, and I want to know that you're in for this game in the long haul. And that being said, there's so many people that I'm reaching out to right now that I literally see is just like they're just hidden gems in the marketplace. They're just one or two contacts or doors opening up along the way that's going to allow them to just explode and to see the success that they've been struggling for and the success that they deserve. And that's a huge part of it, is networking, opening doors. And it's a huge part of it is figuring out what's working well for other people that are like you. And yes, there will be opportunities for new information, but it's not going to be the same old stuff that everybody else is talking about. It's going to be the fine-tuned things that are going to allow you to make the small, minute changes that allow you to get the results that you're after. Because chances are you don't just need another process or blueprint or this or that and the other thing. You just need some small, simple adjustments. You need a small perspective shift that opens up to more rapid success for you. And that's where my heart's at. And I'm so freaking excited to make this happen. So if you're interested at all, and I invite you to apply, even if you're like, this isn't for me. Let me be the judge of that. Let the team be the judge of that. We're going to go through every application with a fine-tooth comb. I'm going to be jumping on calls just to have more conversations with the people who are interested in this mastermind. And yes, I'm launching a mastermind in the middle of the year, or not quite the middle of the year, but you get my drift. Most people are launching a mastermind at the end of the year. I don't care. It's on my heart. I'm leaning into it. I'm following it. This is the path. And if this is something where hey, look, if I surround myself with 12 of the best people in the industry, that's what we're doing, 12 people right now. If I surround myself by the best of the best, the people who care enough to send the endorsement, to understand my business, to hear what I'm doing, to give some feedback, right? This isn't the Adam Kadu show, even though my name's on the podcast, or the mastermind. This isn't Adam's going to tell you all of his training and teaching and stuff. Like I've got enough training to keep you busy forever. This is about one thing: growth and results. This is about finding the small shifts and changes in yourself, in your message, in your offer that's going to allow you to get that momentum you're seeking. And I know it's just like the people that I attract into my business and the people that I've built relationships through the years have the hugest freaking hearts. Sometimes they're just in their own way just a little bit. And it pains me inside because I'm like, I would love to just be all in with you. I've also got to run my business and do my thing. But now this mastermind gives me an opportunity to be all in for you. So if you're ready for a real deal mastermind done right, then you can go to adamkadu.com/mastermind to apply. So adamkadu.com/mastermind. And yet again, be courageous. That's one of the characteristics that allowed me to open doors in networking as well, as being courageous. So put in that application. Let's have a convo. Worst case scenarios, we get to connect and I get to learn more about your business and maybe later, right? Or I might see something in you that I keep my eye on, right? Let's network, let's connect. But the first step is to apply. And I trust that if you're feeling called, or if you're like, that would be huge, I just know how instrumental that would be in the world we're living in, and which enables you, to start playing a higher level game faster, more effectively, without doing all the stuff yourself because you like to beat yourself up to submission. Been there, done that. Got the t-shirt, not going back again. And if you know in your heart you're meant to reach more people, help more people, and create more impact, not only for you, but for others in your life, please apply. And that's where I'll leave it. But it is. If it's not my mastermind, and I will dare to say there's a huge distinction and difference of, just getting a mastermind of some peeps in your environment, just whoever will have kind of more of an accountability. I say do it, right? I say do it. But if you're the smartest person in the room, you need to find a different room. And just imagine what's possible with the right people in the right environment at the right time. Just imagine what's possible for you. And I'm freaking stoked about this. So, and you listening, you might be getting something in the mail too. So just keep an eye on that. And also, until next time, go help somebody today. The world needs you. And if you're playing a half-hearted game, and if you're feeling like you are playing a half-hearted game, if your business isn't quite growing to the level that you know it can, if you're not able to create what you want for your family, if you're not able to reach and get out there and connect with people, you're doing all the TikToks and IG Reels and looking for that Insta famous, but you're just not getting there, and let's connect. Let's talk about it. Let's chat. Let's see if this mastermind is right for you. Okay, I'll leave it at that. Much love to you and your family, your community, your clients. I wish you nothing but the best. So, as I said earlier, go help somebody. Go help one person right now. It will feed your fire. It'll feed your soul. And that goodwill will be circling back to you. So, much love to you. Talk soon. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Adam Kadu podcast. If you would, take a moment to subscribe and click the bell icon so that way you get notified when future episodes air. Now, here's the thing. If you are looking for the show notes, you can find a link to those below. If you're looking for the handles of the guests that I've been interviewing, things of that nature, you'll find that here. And if there's anything else that stood out to you in the episode, or if there's anything I can do for you, please leave a comment below, or for sure message me on Instagram if you'd like, as I'm always looking to hear what's working well for you and what caught your interest about the Adam Kadu podcast. So, time to go, time to change the world, time to help more people. Are you ready? Let's go do this thing. The world needs more leaders. So thanks again for listening to the Adam Kadu podcast.